Well, here we go again, Mike.
Yep.
We're sort of recording the second ELO album. Of course, Mike the Albuquerque was in the band as well.
He
when
was,
Roy
yeah.
left. How did he get on
Yeah.
with Mike?
Very well, yes.
Yeah,
It was good fun. I mean, we had 3 Michaels in the band.
Oh, right, yeah.
A 7-piece band, 3 Michael. Well, actually later, that was after Wilf left, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So he was Michael, and I was Mike.
Oh, right,
And when Mick came, he was Mick.
yeah. So did you prefer like recording or the touring side of it, or didn't you mind either?
Both. I mean, it got very, very interesting, especially on the third day, when I felt like we were working together to get something, and it was what I was very much involved in the arrangements, and we were sitting down and working things out with Jeff, and it was it's a lovely process doing the recording, and I really admire Jeff Lynne. Just watching him work was brilliant. He's just a genius. He knew what sounds would work, and he constructed the whole thing, and he got nearly all the music together, and he got an idea for the tune. Obviously he knew the tune of the song, and he said, "Oh, well, I'll just go and work on these words a bit," and he went out 5 minutes in the cupboard, came back, and then he just went and recorded the words, and I just got a lot of admiration for him. So it was a lovely being involved in that process of recording.
It was a good album. I must admit I enjoy that. And you mentioned Mama Bell earlier on. Is that a favourite of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a real rocker, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got the strings with
Yeah.
it, but there's some other things on it as well.
What do you think about when like you're having a photograph taken and somebody asked you to lift your shirts up and show your belly buttons? How did you get on with that sort of thing?
I thought it was amazing. I mean, that was an amazing experience. With that was, I don't know whether that was there was this. I mean, they obviously paid this photographer thousands of pounds to do the photograph. I think it was John Avedon who was kind of like, I looked him up, and he was pretty famous, and he just got some beautiful photographs. And that was like a little trick. That he probably uses, once in a while. We'll get that, but we were all sizes in yellow. I think that was one of the things also, that there was this shapes of people, and that was interesting to look at. But yeah, it was fun doing it.
Yeah,
it was really fun.
It was that sort of time that Wilf left, I think, and Mick Kaminsky came in. Was that a sad time for you, or do you just take it? Is it like working in a factory and somebody leaves and somebody else comes along?
It wasn't a very good time.
No.
Wilf leaving, because it was just like, to be candid about things. It was like, not everybody. Not everybody was on a share of the money. We were employed. The string players were employed, and then you start to see that money was coming. Quite a lot of money was being made, and it wasn't being redirected in your way. And Wilf, being Wilf. Just wanted to, talk about this, and there was a bit of negativity built up, and as can happen with any group of people, there can become times when they don't always get on, So in a way, Wilf was edged out really of the whole thing, and I didn't really particularly like that. And so it wasn't that long before I left myself.
But you started work on an album called El Dorado. You played on some of that album.
Yeah. And I've got the gold album.
Yeah.
I've got my gold album.
Yeah.
And that's terrific to have,
And Jeff was bringing more of the orchestra in then, wasn't he?
Yeah, so I think things were changing, and things were, you know, he wanted to move in a different direction, because I can see, because he had like a, you know, huge vision for what he wanted, and this guy Louis Clark came along and did some fantastic arrangements, but it was losing what I saw of that early days of DLO, which was kind of like, the only thing, the way I can describe it is like this thing we have in classical music is called chamber music. It's like when you have a small group of people and they're playing together, you know, and you know, it was that we were all very independent parts, and you could hear that. You know, you could hear that on lots of on third day. But when it got later, when it got to El Dorado, it was really this fantastic vision that Jeff had of this orchestral sound, and it, you know, it rather left the personnel in it behind. I mean, after I left, there were still the two cellos, but you know, they had all these massive other things, you know, that they had to play. You know, the trumpets and the wind players, and they weren't played very much with it. You know, but yeah, it was. I mean, I think Jeff Lynne and ELO did fantastic stuff after I left, you know, but it was different. It was a different sort. You know, you could say that ELO did 3 stages: the very, very early bit with Roy Wood, and then the second bit with Jeff Lynne, and myself and Wilf, and then the third bit with the orchestral type thing, which developed, and it was just hugely successful.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you to this day, you know, you're listening to the radio and ELO track comes on. You know, from the very first note, you go, oh, ELO. It's amazing. You know, it's got a sound all of its own.